On the 13th of November 2022, a bomb exploded in a crowded shopping area of Istanbul, the largest city in Turkey. 6 Turkish civilians were killed in the blast and more than 80 others were injured. And within 24 hours of the attack, the Turkish government unilaterally blamed the Kurdish separatist group operating in Turkey and Syria known as the PKK and SDF, despite each of their claims of having nothing to do with it. And within a week of that attack, Turkish jets and artillery systems began bombing PKK and SDF positions across northern Syria and Iraq in a campaign of reprisals. The Turkish President Tayyip Recep Erdogan then went one step further and insisted that these aerial and artillery attacks on Kurdish positions in Iraq and Syria were only the beginning. On the 21st of November, he threatened to order a full-scale ground invasion into northern Syria against the Kurds, in order to establish what he and his supporters have long been calling for: a 30 kilometers deep safe zone just across the Turkish border into Syrian territory that would be occupied and policed by the Turkish army. As all eyes in the West and NATO have been focused on the war in Ukraine, the decade-long brutal civil war in Syria continues. And with this upcoming invasion into the country from Turkey looming, the conflict appears to be entering a new and potentially even more dangerous phase than before. That could see the United States having to refocus its attention back on the troubled country once again. And in order to understand why Turkey is considering this invasion into Syria now and the potential consequences it will have on the war, you have to understand a few basic geopolitical and demographic realities around the area that are pushing them into it. First, let's begin with the fact that Turkey isn't entirely an ethnically homogeneous nation-state in the same way that other countries are, like France, Japan, or Germany. When you look at an ethnic map of the country, you will notice that the Turks make up a majority nearly everywhere except for the entire northeastern corner, which is demographically dominated instead by the Kurds, an Iranian ethnic group who speaks their own separate language that by far make up the largest ethnic and linguistic minority in Turkey. There are around 15 million of them who live within Turkey today, and that means they make up around a fifth of the entire country's population. But the Kurds don't just exist in the southeastern corner of Turkey. It's estimated that there's anywhere between 30 and 45 million Kurds who exist throughout a large area that spans across the border of southeastern Turkey, northeastern Syria, northern Iraq, and western Iran. And because these tens of millions of Kurds are divided between the borders of these 4 separate countries, the Kurds represent one of the largest nations of people in the world without a state of their own. And that means that from time to time there have been nationalist calls within the Kurdish area to create a state that would hypothetically be called Kurdistan. However, Turkey, Syria, Iraq, and Iran have all brutally repressed these Kurdish calls for statehood over various different times over the past centuries, for the very simple fact that if any one group of Turkish, Syrian, Iraqi, or Iranian Kurds ever managed to achieve independence or autonomy, it could end up causing a cascading domino effect that would unite all of the other Kurdish regions into a single state of Kurdistan, which in Turkey's case would result in the loss of basically the entire southeast of the country, along with the millions of people who live there, who pay taxes and contribute to the economy. And that is something that for the past century the Turkish government has found to be completely unacceptable. This is it for today's video. See you in the next one. Until then, Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.